What is going on, my fellow YouTubers? This is Ricky J, baby, from Ricky J Sports. And people, welcome to my first ever podcast kind of style video. And hopefully you guys enjoy this. I don't know how it's going to go. But from time to time, I just want to get on here and relax and talk to you guys about the fights coming up, fights that happened, and even just talk about things that aren't UFC related. And I'm hoping in time to have some special guests to join me on this podcast, guests from the EA Sports UFC community, and hopefully one day, man, maybe guests from the UFC community, who knows. But I just kind of want to switch things up, want to try something different. You know, doing the tournament videos are a lot of fun, and even the UFC videos, UFC 3 videos are a lot of fun, but I just love trying different things. For all you guys that don't know, I tried doing a secondary channel, doing baseball highlight videos, and I got 3 strikes and I was out by the YouTube big time machismos up there. So forget that idea. So I thought, you know what? Why am I trying to do a secondary channel? Let's stick to what I enjoy, what I love, and that's UFC, and that's Ricky J Sports. But anyway, let's move on. Let me kill the music. This is Consinity, man. If you're hearing the music in the background and you're wondering who is singing in the background, is that Ricky and his boys in his garage? No, it's not. It's Consinity. It's a group from the States, and they reached out to me. They said to me, you know what, one of their drummers actually watches my channel, which I find kind of funny, and they said, you know, by all means you could utilize their song bank anytime. So big shout outs to the guys at Consinity. But we're gonna stop the music right now, and I just want to show you guys when I want to show you guys what channels I'm into. That's what I'm trying to say. And to start off these videos, I always want to just branch off and show you guys that when I'm not doing UFC videos, when I'm not watching UFC, I'm either playing MLB The Show, I'm with my family, I'm working, or I'm watching funny videos. I love watching videos that make me laugh. So I want to show you. Hopefully I don't get flagged for this, but my favorite channel right now is Ed Bassmaster, and big shout outs to Ed Bassmaster. And in this video, he dresses up like a zombie and goes through a drive-through, and it's so funny. I'm going to show you a quick clip right here. So he always turns his head so the people at the drive-through window, they don't see his face, but he has all the makeup on. So watch this. Look at this, watch this.
I'm a zombie.
Let's rewind that. I don't know if it was loud enough. Well, let's go back a bit more.
Go.
Oh, she is scared right there. Listen to the guy at the window.
I'm a zombie.
Reaction's the best reaction. He has all these different characters, and he has his character, this guy, Push Diamond. And he went to a furniture store, and this guy has an attitude, and he always likes to brush people off with his attitude by going, psh. So watch this, watch this.
Let me ask you a question. Furnishing my girlfriend's apartment. Okay. I just don't want the old lady finding out about it, if you know what I mean.
The old lady.
My wife.
Okay.
I like this. Is it velvet?
Well, let me fast forward a bit.
Never mind on that.
So he's checking out this table. Look at this. He didn't mean to do this too. Look at this.
And you're gonna pick up that trash, right?
I guess, yeah. I got it. Is this real wood?
Oh gosh, no, don't do it. Oh my gosh.
Not anymore.
Unreal. Unreal.
What else do you need?
Watch as he goes to check out a bed.
What's the warranty on the mattress?
Can go up to 20 years, depend which manufacturer you're dealing with. Try it.
Try it.
He didn't mean to break that.
Really?
All set?
I'm all set, yeah.
So which one are you gonna get this bed?
You serious?
After all this damage, hopefully you're fine.
And then watch this. He pulls a Macho Man.
Unreal.
He
Tell me a little bit about
watch
this
this,
mattress.
watch this.
Naturally mattress, one of the best mattresses that occurs. Our number one seller.
Number one.
You want to try it?
He pulls a Macho Man. Here we go. Off the top rope, baby.
Hey, get down there. Get down.
You said I could try it.
Here we go. The big elbow.
Can't?
Anyways, guys, let's get in on some fights. But anyway, check Ed Bassmaster out. He's so funny. And in the next video, I'll show you guys some more stuff that I'm into. But anyway, let's talk about UFC 240 Holloway versus Edgar. All right, let's talk about this main event. In my opinion, before we get into it, I don't think Frankie Edgar deserves a title shot. I really don't. He gets one win after a loss, and the UFC grants him a title shot. I think, the guy Alexander Volkanovski, the guy's 19-1, has some big victories, beat Aldo in his last fight. He deserves a title shot against Max Holloway. I'm hoping the winner of this fight faces Volkanovski. He so deserves a title fight, especially in his next fight. It's got to happen. But as far as Max Holloway, Frankie Edgar, what do you got to say? Frankie Edgar, he's been there and done that. He has the miles on him, and I think that's what's going to be his downfall. He's 37 years old, and he just has too many miles on him, and I don't think he can keep up with the pace that Max Holloway brings. Max Holloway is going to be in his face. Max Holloway at this division is a beast. He's not going to let up. And I think Frankie Edgar is going to realize that good old father time is going to catch up to him in this fight. He's 37 years old, and I just don't see him beating Max Holloway. And Max is coming off a loss, again, in the lightweight division against Dustin the Diamond Poirier. And I was really surprised with that fight. It seemed like at lightweight, Max's power, even though he doesn't have a lot of power, but he didn't have any power in lightweight. It didn't translate at all. And same thing that happened with Conor McGregor. When he was in featherweight, he had crazy power. In lightweight, I felt like it went down a little bit, but in welterweight, it just seemed like him packing on that extra weight, McGregor, he didn't really have that punching power that he showed in the featherweight division. But as far as Max, I feel like this is his division to conquer, and he's got to stop trying to move up. It's good that he didn't fight Khabib when he tried to step in to fight him, because that would have been bad, man. But I just feel like Max is going to overwhelm him with his pace. That cardio is just too much for people to handle in this division, and he's going to continue on as the featherweight champion. And I think the fight for him next is the Volkanovski fight. It's got to happen. It really does have to happen. And as far as Frankie Edgar, man, I think he's just got a gift from the UFC, and I don't think he's going to do it, man. But what may happen is you may see Frankie Edgar utilize his wrestling, but Max is very crafty. He's going to be able to get up. He's going to be able to hurt Frankie coming in, and I just see Max winning in the 4th round. He's just going to overwhelm him, and eventually Frankie is just going to gas out and tire. And it's just going to be, I feel like it's going to be a TKO. I could see Frankie Edgar just curling up in the corner against the cage and Max just throwing bombs on him and ending the fight. As far as the rest of the card, there's nothing really that sticks out for me that I want to address. But let me know in the comments if there's a fight that you want me to talk about in the comments. But as far as the main card, there's not a lot of big time stars that are on this card, and it's unfortunate. They do have a great main event in my opinion, but I know you got Cyborg against Felicia Spencer. She's a Canadian, 6-0, but I just think Cyborg is going to come back and do her thing. But who knows, man? You never know. Somebody that's 6-0 has never tasted defeat, so man, I'm hoping for a shocker. The Phenom. Look how she spelt it. That's cool. That's a cool nickname. But what else should I talk about? And in these videos, guys, I don't want to make them longer than half an hour. But what else do I want to talk about? I want to talk about the Leon Edwards fight. And I mentioned on Twitter that it was a good tactical battle by Edwards, but it was basically a snooze fest for me. I felt like it was good seeing Edwards shut down Dos Anjos, but it wasn't the most exciting fight in the world. And now he's calling out Jorge Masvidal, and I think Leon Edwards deserves Masvidal or maybe a number 1 contender fight, or even if they don't have anyone to fight Usman. Or maybe he should get the winner of Kobe Robbie Lawler. That would be good. But he deserves a big name. He's won 7 or 8 fights in a row. He deserves it. And as far as Jorge Masvidal, he wants to face Usman. And Usman's the champion. I don't know. I don't know how it would go down. I feel like for Jorge Masvidal, he's a fantastic striker, but his downfall is a really good wrestler. And I just think that Usman will put him down and keep him down. But who knows? It seems like Jorge is maturing this late in his career, man. What is he, like 34, 35 years old? And good on him. I really love his resurgence. So I'm hoping the UFC gives him a shot earlier rather than later. So who knows? But both of these guys want a title shot, and why not? As far as Rafael Dos Anjos, what is he, 34 years old? He's getting the losses piling up, man. I just think that, at a certain point, he may be the gatekeeper at the welterweight division. He may want to move down. It's so funny, these guys that get older, they move up and down, and then all of a sudden they decide to go down like 2 weight classes to see if they still got it, and it just doesn't translate, man. It doesn't translate. Another thing I want to talk about is how amazing Dan Hooker is. Dan Hooker, he's one of the guys in the UFC that is tougher for his own good, man. He has a fantastic chin and a tremendous heart for sure. And as far as James Vick, I thought this guy was going to knock on the door for a title shot when he got the fight against Rolling Thunder, Gaethje, but got KO'd. And in his last couple of fights, he's lost, I think, 3 fights in a row. And when you get knocked out like that, you don't have many fights left in you. He got just shut off. And it's unfortunate that this guy would get shut off like that. And that's more than one time. And after a while, your head health, just like in the video game, goes down. You can't take a shot like you used to. Ask Chuck Liddell. Speaking of Chuck Liddell, I'm moving on from one topic to the next. Oscar De La Hoya promotional team went down under, man. And I'm not talking about going to Australia. They are done. One event and it's over. Can you believe that? They thought they were going to get all the legends in there, and they thought they were going to have a promotion with all those big names, but it's hard. It's hard. A lot of guys or a lot of companies try to be like the UFC, and it's hard to maintain your relevance or just make money. Speaking of making money, I was saying this to my buddies when we were watching these fights. I'm like, I miss the UFC days when they would only show like 6 events in the year. Do you guys remember that? I don't know if you guys are old enough to remember, but back in the day, the UFC would only have like maybe 6 events in the year. Now, it's just like an overflow. As you see right here, look at this. It's an overflow of events, and they use the word saturated, how the UFC is now saturated with a lot of events. It's almost like overkill. But when they had it where it was like 6 to 8 events in the year, you would get together with your buddies. Everybody would come in, drop $5 in a jar, and that would pay for the event. Get some pizza, have some beers, or have some pop or whatever. And you would just have such a great time watching the events or watching the fights, and the fight cards were stacked. It was unbelievable. If you were a hardcore fan, how stacked the fight cards were. There were at least, I always remember, there were at least 5 fights that I was seriously interested in. And when you're watching these fights, every fight was exciting just because you didn't have the UFC every weekend. And I just feel like the UFC is doing well, but if the UFC would ever go down, it would be because of just too many events, and people just can't keep up. And it's kind of like on YouTube. If you pop out like 10 videos a day, people can't keep up and they end up losing interest. So having people waiting in anticipation is a good thing. You know what I mean? But anyway, I think I'm going to end off this first ever podcast. Let me know if you want to be a special guest on this podcast. I cannot wait to get some of you guys on here. Like I said, I don't care if you've got 5 subscribers, 1,000, 10,000, or 100,000 subscribers. I would love to have you on here just to talk about fights and even talk about the EA Sports UFC game. That would be awesome too. But anyway, I'll keep this one not too long. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for tuning in to the first ever Ricky J podcast, and I'll catch you later. Anyhow, guys, this is Ricky J, baby, from Ricky J Sports, and you are awesome.